Hey guys, welcome back to Bedroom Producing. This is episode 2. We're going to get into another track that I made. We're going to break it down and I'm going to walk y'all through it. Let's get into it. The first thing that I laid down was this Pluck from Spire. Let's go ahead and listen to that. Second thing that I laid down was this piano from the XV5080. It's a Roland plugin. It's really nice for those like vintage kind of video gamey sounds almost. But this is a piano from that plugin. Boom. That has a few effects on it. We'll get into the effects a little bit later into the video. Next thing I laid down was the same piano, but this time it's playing some higher notes. Just like that. Last melody aspect that I laid down was this vocal from Arcade. So pretty. Such a pretty voice. Arcade actually has a lot of very pretty vocal chops. And you can chop them up and make them do all kinds of crazy stuff and they'll sound really great. I actually think Arcade is really nice for vocal chops. Alright, this is the melodies all together. Super pretty, super bright. I really like this beat that I made. And we're gonna get into some of the mixing in just a little bit. What really made it shine through. But yeah, let's keep going. All right, so starting with the hats, we got a super simple hi-hat pattern. Boom. And I just added, of course, I added rolls where I thought it was necessary to add rolls. It'll make more sense where I put them once I play the rest of the drums. But yeah. With my hats, I've been wanting to add some velocity adjustments to make everything sound a little bit more human, just to make it sound less so samey. And I've been doing that with my later beats. And this beat I didn't do it, but I'm going to show y'all how to do it anyways. So you would go into tools. You can also just hit Alt plus R and you hit randomize. Pops up this little screen and boom. You can just randomize the velocity in it. Makes it sound a little bit less samey. Everything's not hitting at the same exact velocity, same exact volume. And I could do that for a lot of sounds, and I should do that for a lot of different sounds, just to make things sound less samey. I didn't implement it in this beat, but in future beats, I definitely will. Here's an open hat I added. With my open hats, I usually place them on top of the 808s. Like I usually put them where the 808 is hitting. And it makes the 808 kind of hit that much harder because it has like a bright sound on top of it. You'll hear it. It'll make it a little bit more distinctive. So that's kind of a trick I do to just make my 808s kind of hit a little harder. Simple snare on every third beat. Yep. Generic. My 808 808, super simple. Honestly, I feel like this last note could have went down maybe, but beat's done. Not gonna mess with it. I love these little like triplet rolls, I think is what they're called. But they're just little 808 rolls. I love doing those. You know, just adding little accents here and there, and like higher pitched 808s. But yeah, super simple. And then this is my accent snares. And those will kind of make more sense with the when I play the rest of the drums all together. This is the drums all together. All right, let's move on into the mixing aspect of the beat. What I did for mixing. All right, so here's our first melody, that pluck from Spire. And I've got nothing on this, except for it being routed to this mix bus, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, just left it alone. Some sounds you don't really need to touch, besides volume, of course. And this was just one of those sounds where I felt like I didn't need to do anything to it. And that's not a all the time kind of thing. It's just like what you're feeling, how you feel about the beat. Does this thing fit? Does the sound fit? Over time, you'll get better at picking out sounds and feeling if they need to be mixed in any sort of way. And of course, inside of the synth itself that this sound is coming from, there's mixing going on. There's some effects on it. So it's not just a dry sound. But external mixing, like putting EQs and stuff on it, is not always necessary with a beat. Don't let anybody tell you that it's like a must do, because that's where you get kind of trapped. You get stuck in like a box. Remember, this is like painting, you know? You got to figure out what colors work with what. And you're trying to make a picture. Now, this is my piano that I got from the XV5080, and it sounds like this. Now, this does have an effect on it, which is affecting it pretty drastically, and it is a phaser. So let me play it without the phaser on it. That's a lot of frequencies. Oh, that's a big difference. Let me play it again for you. From this to this. That's a big difference. And this phaser that I have on it is changing a lot of the frequencies. So basically it's sweeping through and kind of playing with different frequencies in the sound. All right, let's move on to the next sound. All right, this sound is just that same piano sound, but with different notes playing and different effects on it. I put a Valhalla shimmer on this, a shimmer reverb, just to make it sound super bright. Have a big long tail, and it kind of fills up space, and it makes it sound a little bit more ambient and airy. That was kind of the goal with this higher up piano. Let's listen to it without the shimmer. Now this is with the shimmer. And that changed the entire vibe of this piano. It went from being kind of dull and boring and stagnant to having this big, long decay and sounding really interesting and filling up a lot of space in the beat. And that's where mixing can really kind of shine through. When you experiment with different sounds and try to make them just sound different, you know? You're changing the color of these sounds that were already good. You're making them even better. It's like you're adding detail on top. You know, I relate music producing to painting because they're both such creative things. You really have to like feel like you're painting with colors, you know? You're not painting with colors, you're painting with sound. You're making a picture. You're filling in certain spaces where there is no space, and it's very intricate and creative. And that's why music producing can be so awesome, you know? It doesn't have to be so dull and boring. It's not like a grind. It's like, oh, what can I make next? What kind of awesome creative sounds can I do next? What kind of painting can I create? That's kind of my philosophy on it. All right, next we have this vocal chop from Arcade. So pretty, so pretty. I love putting vocal chops in my beats because they are so human. They add an aspect where it's very unpredictable kind of sounds. They're adding a lot of tonality to the beats. They're adding a lot of just different notes that if I took and drew out with a piano, I could maybe get something close, but it would never sound human like that. They have like tremolo, they have vibrato on their voice. It's human. It's something that sounds pleasing to the ear. It's very pretty, very pretty. So I do recently, especially, I've been using a lot of vocals. I like to chop them up sometimes. This one I didn't chop up, but I do like to chop them up sometimes. I've got a Valhalla shimmer on it, another reverb, and I've got an EQ on it. So let's listen without either of those. Alright, so it has so without any effects on it, it has a little bit of reverb on it. There's a little bit it's definitely got some space to it, some dimension, but listen with this reverb. Super spacey. Like, that thing is echoing. It sounds like that person might be, I don't know, in a cave or something. Just sounds awesome. And it's super bright. I love it. Makes it sound even prettier. And that's kind of the vibe I'm going for with this beat. Kind of a lot of ambience. And that's not the vibe for every beat. So this color might not work with this other painting, but it works for this painting. And then I've got an EQ on it, and I'm just cutting out some low frequencies. I must have felt like it was a little too big. Yeah. I just kind of aired it out a little bit, made it more airy. All right. And then we have a final synth bus that everything's going through. And I'm doing this, cutting out the lows. And I do this just to make room for the 808. That's all I do that for, every single time. I used to not do this trick, and everything sounded muddy. But after doing this, after learning this practice, everything sounds super crisp, I think. I feel like everything has its own kind of place. It's got its own pocket. All right, that's it for the melody mixing. Let's move on to the drums. So I have two 808s on this beat. and they're playing at different times. This first one is just kind of, it's more synthy, and it just plays through the intro and like the kind of bridge part of the beat. Sounds just like this. And I didn't do anything special to it. I didn't boost anything in it because I didn't need it to be. This second 808 does have a little boost on it, and majority of the time I'm gonna boost my 808s like this because it makes the frequency a little bit more bassy and kind of kicky. I do this especially if I don't have a kick in the beat, so that the 808 kind of still punches through the mix. This is that 808. Without the EQ on it. This 808 is actually pretty punchy already, but we added just that little bit more. Alright, now let's get into the arrangement, the final part, how I laid this beat out. There are a few extra little things that I did here and there with the arrangement to kind of improve it and make it sound a little bit different. So let's get into it. Alright, with the intro, I put in this little tape stop effect right at the beginning. The way you do that is it's just a little gross beat preset. Boom. Final stop right there. I made an automation clip. Create automation clip. It'll make this appear. And I just started this beat out with that little stop effect. I think it sounds really cool. Alright, so I've got a few drops going on in this beat just to keep things interesting, just to keep people listening. I've got this first drop right here. Boom. And both the drops are very similar. This one's only just slightly different. I just add those drops in to kind of make the beat transition a little easier. And they sound really dope too. So there's a little 808 roll on there. There's also some snare rolls happening. It's just to, kind of bridge these two segments of the song together. Make it a smooth transition. I've got this little sweep effect in here as well. Just kind of sweeping through the beat. And that's pretty much it for this beat, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. I love making these little episodes, these beat breakdowns. Love chit-chatting. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Do you guys know what hubris is?